only to lower hiring standards in order to find anyone to replace them. And shockingly, you admitted in this hearing to Senator Coons that it would take 14 years to fill the vacancies at your agency. Many are the result of your purge. 20% of FBI agents are doing low-level immigration enforcement instead of their mission-critical work. You've disbanded entire task forces that stop election interference, foreign influence, public corruption. And who benefits from this? Well, corrupt people benefit from it. Criminals benefit from it. Vladimir Putin benefits from it. Frequently discussed with Stephen Miller about subjects other than Homeland Security Task Force issues.
I frequently talk to Mr. Miller about Homeland Security Task Forces.
I don't think you're fit to head the Bureau, but here's the thing, Mr. Patel. I think you're not going to be around long. I think this might be your last oversight hearing, because as much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America.
One question breaks this entire exchange open. How often do you talk to Stephen Miller? Not about policy, not about hearings, just how often. And the FBI director's answer reveals something he probably didn't mean to reveal. He's not just running the Bureau. He's taking direction from a White House political advisor on matters that have nothing to do with Homeland Security. From there, it only escalates. A direct question about whether agents investigating crimes against children have been pulled for immigration sweeps, answered with a deflection instead of a denial. Then the line that stops the room cold. Who benefits from gutting America's counterintelligence and public corruption units? Corrupt people. Criminals. Vladimir Putin. And then the prediction nobody expected. A sitting senator telling the FBI director, to his face, that Trump will cut him loose just like he's done to everyone else. Here's the full exchange, in order, with everything the short clips leave out.
How often do you speak to Stephen Miller?
Frequently on our Homeland Security Task Forces.
You frequently talk with Stephen Miller about subjects other than Homeland Security Task Force issues, correct?
I frequently talk to Mr. Miller about Homeland Security Task Forces.
Has Stephen Miller ever given you his opinions on how to run your agency?
Mr. Miller's interagency operations are invaluable to the FBI. That's what we talk about.
So you frequently discuss your job and your responsibilities with Stephen Miller and Pam Bondi, I imagine, as well.
Absolutely. She's the Attorney General.
Watch how carefully scripted this answer is. Booker doesn't ask a trick question. He asks something simple. How often do you talk to Stephen Miller? Patel answers with the same sentence twice, almost word for word, like he rehearsed exactly one acceptable response and refuses to deviate from it no matter how the question is rephrased. That's the tell here. When someone repeats an identical phrase regardless of how the follow-up is worded, it usually means there's a version of the truth they've decided not to go near. Booker's actual question, as Miller weighed in on how the Bureau is run, gets answered with a description of interagency operations, which conveniently avoids saying yes or no. Stack that next to the confirmation that Patel also regularly discusses his job with the Attorney General, and you start to see the picture Booker is building before he even gets to the policy questions. An FBI director whose closest working relationships are with White House political staff rather than career law enforcement.
Donald Trump promised to make us all safer. You have pushed out senior FBI agents with decades of knowledge and experience. In fact, this is the first time in FBI history that neither the director nor the deputy director have any experience with the FBI. You've shifted the agency's priorities primarily to pursuing Donald Trump's immigration enforcement agenda. According to ICE data, the Cato Institute, which is a conservative think tank, found that 20% of all agents have been diverted from their work to assist ICE immigration enforcement. 20%. Part of this operation is the work of mass law enforcement who jump out of cars, snatch people off streets at churches, schools, and their jobs and hospitals. Have there been any FBI agents who investigate crimes against children that have been assigned to immigration enforcement, yes or no?
The premise of what you say is entirely false.
Have there been any FBI agents who investigate
no.
foreign domestic terrorism?
You don't get to say America is not safer under this leadership.
I am not saying
America
that.
is safer because of the work of the FBI.
You're making a presumption of premise.
4,700 children.
Sir,
we have seized 6,000 weapons and 23,000 violent felons have been arrested.
That FBI agents who investigate human trafficking have been reassigned to immigration enforcement. You are not denying that FBI agents who are on the task force that fight against Russian oligarchs have not been reassigned. Public Correction Squad reassigned. People who defend children reassigned. You're not denying that. I've seen you
FBI
time and
agents
time
don't
again
get reassigned.
attack my colleagues' premises of questions as a way to not answer the question.
This is the moment the exchange stops being about relationships and becomes about consequences. Booker isn't asking Patel to defend immigration enforcement as a policy. He's asking a narrow, factual question. Have child crime investigators specifically been pulled onto ICU work? That's answerable with a yes or a no. Instead, Patel calls the premise wrong and immediately moves to talking about arrests and weapons seized, numbers that don't actually address whether those specific units were reassigned. Notice what's missing from his response: an actual denial. Booker catches that gap and uses it. He runs through unit after unit: human trafficking, the Russian oligarch task force, public corruption, and each time points out that Patel isn't disputing any of it. In a hearing, silence on a specific factual claim functions almost like an admission. Nobody's going to volunteer, yes, we pulled child crime investigators off their cases, but nobody's denying it either.
I believe you have made our country weaker and less safe. I believe that we are more vulnerable to a major event, and I pray to God it doesn't happen. You've gutted the Bureau of Institutional Knowledge and Expertise. You fired or pushed out seasoned FBI officials, many with more than 20 years of experience, and were working on cases that were critical. You've been purging thousands of serious law enforcement officials who spent their careers keeping us safe, only to lower hiring standards in order to find anyone to replace them. And shockingly, you admitted in this hearing to Senator Coons that it would take 14 years to fill the vacancies at your agency. Many are the result of your purge. 20% of FBI agents are doing low-level immigration enforcement instead of their mission-critical work. You've disbanded entire task forces that stop election interference, foreign influence, public corruption. And who benefits from this? Well, corrupt people benefit from it. Criminals benefit from it. Vladimir Putin benefits from it. And it really makes me wonder who you're looking out for. It makes me think we can't trust you as a nation. You swear to release the Epstein files, but now you're withholding the Epstein files. You claim that you have a suspect in a serious assassination. Whoops, then you don't have a suspect. You know nothing about plans to remove FBI agents, yet you're directly involved in those plans. In the words of an ex-FBI official, you are overseeing, and I quote, generational destruction of the nation's premier law enforcement agency.
This is where Booker stops asking questions and starts laying out a thesis. And the Putin line is the one that's designed to be unforgettable. He's not accusing Patel of working for a foreign government. He's making a structural argument. When you dismantle the units built specifically to counter foreign influence and oligarch money laundering, the people who gain from that vacuum aren't American taxpayers. They're the exact actors those units existed to stop. The 14-year vacancy timeline is the detail that should worry people more than the soundbite does. An admission, in this very hearing, that current staffing gaps would take over a decade to close under normal hiring isn't a talking point. It's an operational capacity problem that outlasts any single administration. And the contradiction list at the end, promising Epstein file transparency, then withholding it, claiming a suspect was caught before they actually had one, denying involvement in agent removals that he's allegedly directing. Isn't Booker inventing a narrative? He's stacking specific, checkable claims next to each other and asking the room to notice the pattern.
Mr. Patel, in just 8 months, you have assaulted the institutional integrity of the FBI. But I know FBI field agent. I've worked with them in Newark. No matter how truly bad you are, you can't undermine the legacy of agents who fight every day to keep us safe, but you can tarnish the integrity of the agency and undermine the agency's capacity. I believe you're failing as a leader, and that your failure does have serious implications for the safety and security of Americans and our families. We're more vulnerable to domestic and foreign attack because of your failures of leadership. I don't think you're fit to hand the Bureau, but here's the thing, Mr. Patel. I think you're not going to be around long. I think this might be your last oversight hearing, because as much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America, Donald Trump has shown us in his first term and in this term, he is not loyal to people like you. He will cut you loose. This may be the last time I have a hearing with you because I don't think you're long for your job. But I'm going to tell you this. I pray for you that you can step up and defend your oath, defend the Constitution, and do a much better job of defending this country.
This closing isn't really an attack on competence. It's a prediction about loyalty, and it's worth slowing down on because of who's making it. Booker isn't speculating about Trump's character from the outside. He's pointing to a documented first-term pattern. People who position themselves as absolutely loyal were eventually discarded the moment they stopped being useful. The line "he will cut you loose" isn't an insult. It's Booker telling Patel, essentially, that the loyalty he's built his entire tenure around offers him zero protection. That's a colder argument than calling someone incompetent, because it doesn't even require Patel to be wrong about anything. It just requires history to repeat itself. And closing with "I pray for you" instead of a final jab is deliberate. It reframes the entire 5 minutes, not as a personal feud, but as Booker genuinely arguing that the job itself, done this way, is a danger to the country regardless of who's sitting in the chair.
If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If
You're
you
gonna
want to
lecture
talk
me
about
dividing this country,
it is
I
my
follow
time.
you on your social media posts that
It is
tear
my
this country
time
apart.
to
There
address
should be a
your
unifying-
falsehoods.
Oh,
You are an
you can
embarrassment
try all
to the
you
division
want
in this
to
country.
not
Senator,
take
it is
my
responsibility
time.
for
You
what you
had
have
your
said.
time.
Sir, you're
Your
making
time
a
is
mockery of this
over.
committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
You
The
know how
people
far
of New
we've
Jersey
come
tell me
since
what
you
my
tell-
time is.
Senator-
You can't lecture me.
You can tell me
Sir,
my
you
time's
have-
over?
You may be the charge of the
I'm not
FBI,
going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman,
Not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Senator Booker, I announced at the beginning of this meeting that this back and forth, talking over each other, doesn't work. And I said if that happened, I asked Patel not to respond, and I was going to give him some time after the senator's time was up to respond. And he has the privilege to do that uninterrupted.
Mr.
So
Chairman,
go-
one point of
Go
order.
ahead, Mr.
I've
Patel.
watched him talk over us, and you've never once criticized him for us not even being able to get our questions out.
Well,
He has been rude and disrespectful to senator after senator.
And when the senators were not giving him a chance to answer, I didn't stop the senator either.
If the FBI, under my 7-month leadership, were failing this administration in this country, why do we have 23,000 violent felons arrested this year alone? A double increase from that time last year. Why is it that we have seized 6,000 weapons? Why have we found 1,500 child predators and arrested them? Why have we 300 human traffickers in jail? Why have we found and identified 4,700 children? Why have we seized 1,600 kilograms of fentanyl, enough to kill a third of the American public, a 25% increase alone from last year? 88,000 kilograms of cocaine seized, 7,000 kilograms of meth seized, and that's just on our criminal operations in summer heat. How is it possible that we're taking 8 kilograms off the streets of the cities in New Jersey and preventing the deaths of 607,000 people this year alone, a failure of the FBI and my leadership? How is it that we have counterintelligence arrests already this year exceeding the numbers from the entirety of last year? 33% increase in PRC, 83% in Russia, 60% in the CI space as it relates to Iran, and we haven't even talked about CT, the southern border.
The most telling moment in this entire clip isn't Patel's statistics. It's the chairman's admission. When the person running the hearing, who has every institutional reason to protect the witness, publicly states on the record that Patel has been rude and disrespectful to multiple senators, that's not a partisan jab. That's the room itself acknowledging a pattern everyone watching has already noticed. Then comes the numbers, and they're worth taking seriously rather than dismissing outright. Arrests are up. Counterintelligence cases against China, Russia, and Iran have reportedly increased. Those aren't nothing. But notice what those statistics don't actually address. Whether the specific units Booker named earlier, child crime investigators, the Russian oligarch task force, public corruption, were pulled off their work. A strong top-line number can climb at the same time specialized, harder-to-measure capabilities quietly erode. Both things can be true simultaneously, and a rapid-fire list of impressive totals doesn't resolve that tension. It just makes for a better soundbite than an actual answer would.